going to be changing the rear shocks on the 13 Ford Fusion. It's pretty simple, hopefully. We've got 2 bolts up here. These are 18 millimeters. And then down here, we've got 2 bolts as well. So you can see it. 1 and 2 over here. Those are 15 millimeters. Those lower ones, you might want to use a wrench and a ratchet for that one. You're gonna have to sneak the wrench in there to help pull the top bolt, and the bottom one you're gonna loosen up with a ratchet. I do recommend having an impact for that top one because of it being an 18 millimeter and how deep it's in here. Even if you were to use an extension with a ratchet, you'll lose your ability to give it a good torque back in place. So definitely recommend using a cordless impact, or if you have an air compressor with an impact, that'll save you a lot of time. And then we also have to, once we take it out, there's a nut up here that we're going to have to remove as well, so that way we can keep the mount, and then we can take off the boot, because we're going to have to reuse those too. I'm going to be replacing it with these KYB gas shocks. This is how it looks when you order it. So when you want to do the banding, give it a few minutes to go up, and then it comes with 3 nuts and 2 lock washers. The one nut is shaped a little bit differently, even if you can see it in the picture, in the image here, but it's a bit of a cone shape. I forget what the actual word is for it, but the other ones aren't. You can see that there, right on the top. See, that one doesn't have it. So I'm assuming that one is the one I'm going to have to use. And these 2 would have been for if the shock was going to be bolted to the side on the bottom. So is what I'm assuming. And we'll use a lock washer as well. And maybe use a washer, just a non-lock washer as well, just to help it. But we'll see. Alright, the shock is now off. We gotta take this nut off here. It's about 11/16 or 18 millimeter, somewhere around there, I think. It's looking pretty rusty. What we're gonna have to do though is we're gonna have to take this to a vise, and you can see how the top of this is shaped kind of the pointy end. I'm gonna put that into the vise. We're gonna have to unscrew this nut to remove it in order to get access to the strut mount and the boot. So hopefully this will work. Okay, that was not very easy to take off, but here is the mount, the boot, and I would suggest maybe just using a grinder and grinding off that part to get access to, so you can remove the nut that's already on it. But anyways, I think I'm going to keep the washer that came with the original. So we're going to go washer, lock washer. See it? Washer, lock washer, and then I'll go with the nut on this one. So this KYB one, what I was talking about was here. You see, it's got like a slope, where the other ones that came with it don't. There's no slope on them. Conical shape or whatever it's called. So I'm assuming this is the one that I'm going to have to put on to here, because these 2 I'm assuming would go here and here if need be, but I don't need that. So I'm going to put the boot on first, the boot on, and then we'll put the mount on, and then we'll put these here on. Yeah. Okay, so the original nut that was on here was 11/16. The one that is on this KYB shock is 9/16. So you're just going to need a wrench for that one, and a vise. The vise, if you don't have one, I suggest you go and buy one, because it makes a big difference on trying to hold this and tighten this nut. Okay, so the new shock is in place. For the way it worked out, the Excel logo is facing the outside, and it's a bit of a trick to get the bottom bolts and the two top bolts to line up. It takes a bit of manhandling, but what I did is I got the top part put in first, didn't tighten the bolts, just got them so they were just sitting in there, and then just kind of aligned the bottom of it, and then put the bolts on one on each side, and then just kind of tightened one at a time, and then tightened the top, and then yeah, anyways, so that's it. Yeah, I definitely recommend having, the only tools I recommend having is an impact. I'm using a rigid cordless impact. It works really well, and a vise. That way you can take off the top nut and put the new one on easily. Other than that, you're just going to need your ratchets. Make sure you've got a good set, because you got to tighten up the bottom ones pretty snug. Again, 15 millimeters for the bottom and 18 for the top. That's it. And there you go.